In 1926, while Prohibition money flowed through back rooms and names like Al Capone and Lucky Luciano built empires, something quieter, but just as calculated, was happening inside homes, restaurants, and private clubs. The women were dressing with intent, not for fashion, for position, for control, because in that world, a dress could say what a man with a gun didn't need to. Let's begin. Number 30. The House Cotton Dress. Plain cotton. Faded floral print. Bought for around $1.20 in 1924. Worn by wives and mothers inside Little Italy apartments from morning until night. But this wasn't weakness, this was infrastructure. These women, often the wives of soldiers and capos, ran kitchens that fed entire crews. A pot of sauce simmering for 6 hours. Bread on the table before anyone asked. You walked into that room, you respected the woman in that dress, or you didn't walk back out the same. Number 29. The black morning dress. Heavy black crepe, high neckline, long sleeves. Cost $8 to $12 in 1927, depending on fabric quality. Worn by widows after hits, funerals, and accidents no one talked about publicly. You saw a woman in full mourning black on Mulberry Street. You understood immediately. A man was gone, and someone, somewhere, was already being hunted. The dress didn't ask for attention. It commanded silence. Number 28. The Sunday silk church dress. Soft silk, neutral tones. Always paired with gloves and a hat. Average price, $15 in 1925, nearly a week's wages. Worn by high-ranking wives, especially those tied to men like Frank Costello, during Sunday Mass. But church wasn't just prayer, it was positioning. Who sat where? Who arrived first? Who wore better fabric? All of it was noted, because respect in that world started long before any deal was spoken. Number 27. The flapper fringe dress. Bedded, loose, designed to move under low light. Price, $18 to $25 in 1928. Worn by younger women, mistresses, girlfriends, and club regulars in speakeasies across Chicago and New York, especially in rooms controlled by men like Johnny Torrio. The fringe shimmered when they walked, distracting. Mesmerizing and distraction in a room full of dangerous men was a weapon. Number 26. The velvet evening dress. Deep black velvet. Long cut. Minimal decoration. Cost $30 in 1926. Serious money. Worn at private dinners where mob figures met politicians and businessmen pretending everything was legitimate. Velvet absorbed the light, which meant the woman wearing it didn't need to shine. She already owned the room. Number 25. The wedding dress. White satin, often handmade, sometimes reused and altered. Average cost, $40.60 in 1920s value. Worn by brides entering families connected to organized crime. But this wasn't innocence. This was alignment. A marriage could link two crews, two cities, two power structures. That dress walked down the aisle, but it carried contracts with it. Number 24. The fur-trimmed dress. Wool or silk base with fox or mink trim. Cost $75 in 1929. More than most families earned in weeks. Worn during winter by high-status women in public appearances. Fur wasn't about warmth, it was about proof that money existed, that connections existed, that this family was not to be underestimated. Number 23. The lace tee dress. Soft lace, light colors, knee length. Price, $10 in 1925. Worn during daytime visits between families, wives visiting wives, mothers meeting mothers. It looked polite, it looked harmless. It wasn't. These meetings carried information. Who was loyal, who wasn't, who was rising, who was falling, and every word spoken in that dress traveled further than expected. Number 22. The satin slip dress. Minimal, smooth, often hidden under outer garments. Cost $6 in 1926. Worn in private settings, inside homes, behind closed doors, by wives, by mistresses, by women who understood influence didn't always happen in public. Soft fabric, hard consequences, because intimacy in that world was never just personal. It was strategic. Number 21. The travel dress. Durable cotton or wool. Practical cut. Reinforced seams. Price $7 in 1928. Worn by women moving between cities. New York, Chicago, New Orleans. Sometimes accompanying men. Sometimes traveling alone with instructions. Travel meant risk, rail stations, unknown faces, unpredictable situations. But even then, the dress stayed clean, structured, controlled, because no matter where they went, they represented the family. By 1927, the money was bigger, the risks were sharper, and the line between public image and private power had completely disappeared. The dresses evolved with it, because by now, what a woman wore didn't just reflect the family, it represented its reach. Number 20. The red statement dress. Bold red silk. Clean cut. No excessive decoration. Cost $22 in 1928. Worn by confident women during nightlife appearances, especially in Chicago clubs tied to Al Capone. Red wasn't common. It wasn't safe. You wore red when you wanted to be seen, and when you could handle every eye in the room turning toward you, because attention brought recognition, and recognition brought consequences. Number 19. The widow's silk dress. Black, but softer. Silk instead of crepe. Cost $20 in 1929, worn months after mourning periods ended, usually by widows of high-ranking men, those connected to figures like Joe Mafia. This dress didn't signal fresh grief, it signaled survival. She was still there, still protected, still part of the structure. Number 18. The embroidered heirloom dress. Hand-stitched. Imported patterns from Sicily or Naples. Value priceless, but materials worth $25 in 1920s currency. Worn during major family events, baptisms, engagements, and legacy gatherings, passed down through generations, these dresses carried history in every thread. And in that world, history wasn't sentimental, it was authority. Number 17. The dinner party dress. Structured waist. Dark tones. Clean finished. Cost $18 in 1926. Worn at private dinners where men like Lucky Luciano hosted friendly conversations, wine was poured, food was served, voices stayed calm. But decisions made at those tables shaped entire territories. The dress matched the tone. Controlled. Precise. Unreadable. Number 16. The opera dress. Full-length gown. Gloves above the elbow. Fine detailing. Cost $45 in 1928. Worn in elite public spaces, opera houses, theaters, high society events, especially by women connected to rising figures like Meyer Lansky. Because sometimes the smartest move wasn't hiding. It was blending in perfectly with wealth that looked legitimate. Number 15. The beaded cocktail dress covered in glass beads. Heavy. Reflective. Price $28 in 1927. Worn in speakeasies and underground clubs. Each movement caught the light, every turn drew attention. In crowded rooms filled with smoke and noise, this dress made sure one thing stayed clear: who mattered. Number 14. The dinner table dress. Silk or satin. Elegant, but not extravagant. Cost $16 in 1925. Worn the night deals shifted or ended. A quiet dinner, a calm conversation, and sometimes a man didn't leave that table. Stories like the final meal of Joe Mafia weren't exceptions. They were reminders. The dress remained clean. The table didn't. Number 13. The church widow. Black, shopper than mourning wear. Tailored edges. Cleaner silhouette. Cost $14 in 1928. Worn by women who had moved past grief and into position. These were not fragile figures. They were respected, listened to, sometimes feared, because they had seen what loss looked like and adapted to it. Number 12. The Market Street dress. Simple cotton or linen. Practical design. Cost $3 in 1924. Worn in public markets, bakeries, and neighborhood streets. But simplicity didn't mean invisibility. Women in these dresses heard everything. Names, rumors, movements. Information moved through markets faster than through meetings, and the ones collecting it often wore the simplest clothes. Number 11. The summer linen dress. Lightweight linen, pale colors, Breathable design cost $9 in 1926, worn during brutal New York summers, especially in crowded tenement neighborhoods. Heat didn't excuse carelessness. Even in 90-degree weather, presentation stayed intact because in that world, discipline wasn't seasonal, it was constant. Number 10. The tailored power dress custom fitted, clean lines, perfect structure cost $35 in 1929, worn by the highest-ranking women, wives and daughters of bosses like Frank Costello. This wasn't bought off a rack, this was made, measured, adjusted until it fit perfectly, because power, in that world, didn't just exist, it was constructed, piece by piece. By the end of the 1920s, the system was fully built, money flowed through hidden channels, power sat behind quiet faces, and the women, often unseen, often underestimated, were dressed with the same precision as the operations themselves, because at that level, nothing was casual. Everything was calculated. Number 9. The Speakeasy Night Dress Dark Silk. Fluid cut. Designed for movement in low light. Cost $20 in 1928. Worn inside underground clubs controlled by networks tied to men like Johnny Torrio. Music loud. Lights dim. Deals happening in corners. The dress moved easily through the room. Never drawing too much attention, but never disappearing either. Because in those spaces, being noticed too much was dangerous, but not being noticed at all was worse. Number 8. The Holiday Feast Dress Rich Fabric. Deep colors. Subtle embroidery cost $24 in 1927. Worn during major gatherings, Christmas dinners, Easter feasts, long tables filled with food and family. But these weren't just celebrations, they were displays. Who brought what? Who sat where? Who wore better fabric? Hierarchy didn't stop for holidays, it became more visible. Number 7. The engagement dress elegant but restrained, silk or lace blend, cost $26 in 1926. Worn at engagement gatherings, where two families formally acknowledged a future union, not yet a wedding, but just as important, because once announced, backing out wasn't just personal. It was political. Number 6. The imported Paris dress fine European tailoring, rare fabrics, clean, modern silhouette, cost $90+ in 1929, an extreme luxury. Worn by women connected to top-tier figures like Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano, these dresses didn't come easily. They were imported through complex routes, sometimes the same channels used for alcohol and luxury goods during Prohibition. Owning one meant something very clear. This family didn't just operate locally, it reached across borders. Number 5. The funeral black lace dress black lace layered over darker fabric. Soft, but haunting, cost $18 in 1928. Worn at funerals of respected figures. Not immediate mourning, not raw grief. This was controlled emotion, measured presence. The kind that stood quietly beside the coffin and remembered everything. Number 4. The Sunday best dress, the finest dress a woman owned. Silk, lace, or velvet depending on status. Cost $30 to $50 in late 1920s, worn during the most important public appearances. Church, major meetings, high-visibility gatherings. This dress wasn't worn often, but when it was, it defined perception. Because in that world, one appearance could shift how an entire family was viewed. Number 3. The private chamber dress soft fabric, minimal structure, never seen publicly, cost $12 in 1927, worn behind closed doors. Inside homes where real conversations happened, where men spoke freely, where decisions were influenced quietly. These moments never made headlines, but they shaped outcomes just the same. And the woman in that room understood exactly what she was doing. Number 2. The Sunday family dinner dress simple, clean, carefully maintained, cost $8 in 1925, worn every Sunday, no exceptions, because Sunday wasn't business. Sunday was family. Even men like Al Capone, who ruled with violence, respected that structure. You showed up. You sat down. You ate together. No deals. No conflict. Just tradition. The one rule that held everything together, number 1. The after everything dress plane. Comfortable. Often overlooked. Cost $5 in 1926. Worn at the end of the day. After the meetings, after the tension, after whatever had to be done, was done. This was the dress she wore walking back into the house. Maybe carrying dessert. Maybe saying nothing at all, because life didn't pause in that world, it reset. Quickly. Completely. So here's the truth. These 30 dresses weren't about fashion. They were a system, a language, a way of signaling power without ever raising a voice. Every fabric choice, every stitch, every moment they were worn, connected to something bigger than appearance. Because the real history of the 1920s underworld wasn't just written in police files or courtroom records. It lived inside homes, at dinner tables, in quiet conversations, and in the dresses that witnessed all of it, without ever saying a word.